Hi, this is Fran with Stampendous, and I want to give you some fun ideas that you will enjoy using our Seasons Shapes stamp set here. So this came out in the July catalog, and I just wanted to show you that the name Shapes is to tie into the fact that it works beautifully with the Pop Shapes die set that we came out with in January. And as you can see here, it's a little bit clearer here perhaps. We've got a lot of different shapes to it. And I wasn't sure initially I could get it to work with these dies, but it ended up being just a really fun project. And so the same, let's see, the same dies that we used before. In fact, here I pulled out, this was the set that was the most similar, but instead of the sunflowers and this little robin, perhaps, now in the Christmas one, we have a more detailed design with a little chickadee. And so, but these other shapes were designed to look Christmassy, but to still work with the dies. So here you can see you're going to be able to line it up. You should be able to see the pattern all the way around, tape it in place, and run it through your die cutting machine. So let's take a look at some that are already cut, and you'll see we're using the big cloud, the flower, the bird, the leaf, and the vase. And you also have other options as well. So here's some pieces that are cut already, and you can see how they come together. And then the other shapes that were also available, you've got another vase, you've got a flower pot, and the teacup. And I'll mention that on this one, I was trying to cut two of them, and I missed part of the teacup handle. So I decided to cut it off, turn it around, and hey, maybe now I've got a vase. So lots of fun possibilities. And this, the Pop Shapes, has a pop-up die in it. And Laura made this beautiful card. And you can see it three-dimensionally here. We used the one little pop-up shape. We did it going forward to support these and going up to support the larger flower with the vase. So let's take a look at how that comes together. And this card was a standard A2, giving you the full depth. But I've started another one just to show you how it comes together. And with this one, I decided to go with more of a square that would still accommodate the height of the flower. So my base card here, the red, is 8.5 by 4.25, and it's scored in the middle so that I've got 4.25 square. And then I trim another panel just smaller. So this one is 4 by 8.25, and I find that middle mark, and I just marked it here on my paper. So now I have the pop-up piece in the set, and I actually borrowed one from another set just to have two of them to show you. And I haven't penciled a midline, which might help show you, but I marked and creased the edges out here. And an easy way to always find the middle if it's an odd increment is just to pinch on the outside edges. We don't want to score it all the way through the middle. We're going to let the dies do that part of it. But now in the planning, let's say I want to have, let's see, I'm going to attach the flowers here to the vase, and I'll show you the easiest way to do that. Take just a couple of your little 3D squares, position them at the bottom edge, and determine how much of an overlap you're going to have. Okay, That looks a little bit off center. Let me move it over. Okay, so once these two are connected, then I can determine where I need to position things so that I can have the little bird sitting forward and the vase to fit. So for the vase that is standing up, I'm going to position my die with the little wings. I'll turn it over. These are just little score lines. Let me come in. Okay. So the little wings, as I call them, are just going to score, and these other lines on the vertical are going to cut. So if I want it to support the whole vase standing up, I'll want to make sure that I position it far enough to the center so that my flowers fit to that side. And just to be able to show you the two together, I have a second one that's the same. And while this one goes up, this one is, the wings are also on that middle line all the way across, but I'm turning it the other way so that my bird will fit on this side. And on this one, I want the little tail to sit within the card. So I'll move and tape that die in place there and tape this one. I don't have enough hands here. Tape that one in place there. And you might mark it so that you can die cut one and then the other and have them work in a way that all fits together. And then you can decide on other elements to complete your card. But that's how the pop-up part of it will work. So I wanted to show you a real easy trick here to make our little flower pot shape look more like a flower pot. So I've got brown and whatever dauber system or stencil brush, whatever you prefer. Enhancing the edges is a really nice touch. So I might go all the way around on my little flower pot here for starters. Okay, and then I've got a little sticky note, and I'm going to put it straight across right at that edge. And I'm going to cover it this way so that it's darker underneath the lip of the top of the flower pot. And see how doesn't that add a nice touch? And you can decide to even go a little bit darker if you like. Okay, so now in addition to the vase that we started out with, I've done it in some different color schemes. Here just changes it up a little bit. But let's say instead of the glass vase, you want to use the flower pot, then you get a real interesting look that way. Here we've got our little chickadee, only now I've colored him differently to look more like a little robin. And so anyway, we can switch things out. So instead of the flower pot, we have another little vase. And in this case, I did a little tie around it, which might be kind of fun. And then I even used the cupcake holder in a wood tone paper. And that makes a fun look of a wooden barrel, perhaps. And your bow could be any different color. And here with the teacup, I stamped, a pattern across it. Or here we have just a real beautiful shimmery green paper. And so you're going to get a lot of mileage out of all of the crossover. And how I had explained before, my damaged teacup is now a vase. Let's take a look. It's going to cover a lot of that part anyway. So lots of fun shapes to work with. And then let's take a look at some of the other stamps in the set. So that there's a very pretty little pattern that's just kind of a swirl design. And you can see I had used it on my little vase. Some things back in view here. I had used it here, and it makes a nice pattern on the top of the teacup. And here I'm using it as a border, and it just happens to work at different angles in quite a nice way, where I rotated it back and forth as I worked my way around. And going off the edge of a pre-cut panel is an easy way to make a pattern go all the way around. And then I thought a little decorative edge might make it look like our flowers. Oh, here, I'll just use this one. Our flowers are sitting on a little table edge. And when you go to secure this to your card when you're ready, I'll mention that you can use another layer of the squares on the vase and then do a double layer on the flower part of it to keep it at different levels. Here were some softer colors. So here I'm using the curve from the Pop Frames die set and having the small decorative shapes of the swirls and the holly. You can create a beautiful pattern following the pre-cut piece from that curve is just very versatile. So here I've got it on a vertical or a horizontal layout, and you're going to be able to play with all of these interesting combinations here on your cards. The set also has a lovely little bow that works well as a border. And what I would suggest is that you play around with these pieces a little bit, and you can see here just practicing in a single color. I lined it up for a long border. I pre-cut a wavy frame from the Pop Frames, and working this out probably all in black to start with, but I just showed you in different colors. You can see that it works quite nicely to use on the four sides, and then you probably just need some kind of a filler out on the corners. And then I was playing around with another one where I did the poinsettias in the corners. I used the little swirl 4 times, and again here I turned it. As you can see, it kind of has a diagonal to the design that fills in beautifully. So those are some fun options. And on this one I pre-cut my panel, and then I stamped it further out so that I was close to the edges, and then filled in again with the holly. And this one gave me room for a horizontal message. This one I did more of a vertical message. And perhaps I would use it on a card like this. And put my beautiful flowers down below. And actually we could do a real shallow little wooden container there. And if you're having fun with slim cards, you can see that you can stretch this out for as long as you need, and leave room in the width of it for a message going through the middle. And I just hand cut around it, making an interesting pattern to it. And this one I went a couple of, I doubled it up going this way. So you can see how versatile the Seasons Shapes set can be, and take a look at our gallery.